Today we have every modern technique to assist us. And I was reminded as I was presiding this week by our conference secretary, who kept pulling out all of these different gadgets, showing me, and I just couldn't work them, but he kept showing them to me. We have Palm Pilots, we have computers, we have websites, email. In one of the last Time magazines, they talked about, there was an article about how one church was twittering the gospel and how that was working. And last week I decided to go and see what was happening in some of the other annual conferences. And when I went to my friend's annual conference, the South Georgia annual conference, I noticed that the bishop was twittering. Twittering out the message of the gospel. And so, my friends, I invite you to utilize whatever resource is at your disposal. Use it to share the gospel. Let people hear the good news in whatever way you decide to resource them. Children today need to hear from their clergy. Children today who are wasting away from abuse, hunger, and neglect in our rural, suburban, and urban communities. And your job will be to bring a word of hope to those young people. When we discover men and women who only know as a home a jail, when we know of persons who the adoption of slots and casino gambling replaces their desire to share in communal resources, when we discover that there are young people who do so much, they do all the things that we ask them to do, they go to school, they get a job. There they discover, after purchasing their first home, that because of what's happening in the economy, their house has to be put up for a foreclosure. Your job as clergy is to bring a word of hope to those persons who might be faced with foreclosures. The structures of our society remain infested with viruses even as we gather this morning. Your job will be to help to speak to them. Those viruses of sexism and racism and ageism and classism. The church must always bring hope to the world. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that the ultimate measure of a person is not where one stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where one stands at times of challenge and controversy. Don't park your ministry on Maintenance Street.